Most people believe control comes from outside forces, society, pressure, authority, or louder voices. But the real battle happens quietly inside the mind. Inner strength is tested every day through small moments that seem unimportant. These moments decide who leads and who follows emotionally. When inner strength is weak, decisions become reactive. Emotions take control before logic steps in. This allows others to influence choices without effort. Control does not always arrive as force. Often it appears as suggestion, guilt, or emotional pressure. People with strong inner stability are not aggressive or dominant. They are grounded. They pause before responding. This pause creates power. It stops impulsive reactions and restores personal authority. That is where control begins to shift. This video focuses on building that inner base, not through force or confrontation, but through awareness and language. When the inner foundation strengthens, outside influence loses its grip naturally. Control does not begin with action. It begins with thought patterns. The mind processes situations before the body reacts. When thoughts are unstable, reactions follow quickly. This gives others the ability to steer outcomes indirectly. People who struggle with mental clarity often feel overwhelmed. They explain too much. They seek approval. These habits signal vulnerability. Others may sense it without realizing why. Control flows toward whoever remains calm. A stable mind filters information carefully. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every opinion needs acceptance. Mental discipline protects emotional energy and keeps decisions aligned with personal values. By strengthening internal dialogue, external pressure weakens. The mind becomes less influenced by tone, urgency, or emotional manipulation. This is how true independence begins. Words are not just communication tools. They shape identity. The words spoken internally guide behavior more than external instructions ever could. Weak language produces hesitation. Strong language produces clarity. Many people lose control through self-doubt phrasing. Words like maybe, I guess, or I can't slowly train the brain to avoid responsibility. Over time, this reduces confidence and increases dependency. Intentional wording builds authority. Clear statements strengthen resolve. Simple language reduces emotional chaos. When words are chosen carefully, decisions become firm without becoming aggressive. By mastering internal language, people regain control over reactions. This creates consistency. Consistency builds trust in oneself, which is the core of inner strength. When control is given away, peace is the first thing lost. Decisions begin to serve expectations instead of values. This creates inner conflict. Over time, resentment builds quietly. People under control often feel exhausted without knowing why. Emotional energy drains faster. Boundaries weaken. Saying yes becomes automatic, even when it causes discomfort. This cycle damages confidence. Loss of control also affects self-respect. When actions do not match beliefs, identity feels unstable. This instability invites further influence from outside voices. Reclaiming control restores balance. It reduces emotional fatigue and increases clarity. Personal power returns when responsibility is taken back internally. Inner strength today is not about dominance or authority over others. It is about self-management. The ability to stay calm under pressure is now more valuable than aggression. Modern life creates constant stimulation. Opinions, messages, and demands compete for attention. Without inner control, these inputs shape behavior automatically. Strong individuals choose responses deliberately. They do not rush decisions. They listen carefully and speak with intention. This steadiness earns respect naturally. Inner strength today means emotional independence. When approval is no longer required, freedom increases. Control shifts inward where it belongs. Most people feel powerless not because they lack ability, but because they never trained their inner world. From a young age, many are taught to react instead of reflect. This creates habits of dependence. Over time, confidence fades quietly. Daily pressure reinforces this weakness. Social expectations, work stress, and constant comparison drain mental energy. When people feel rushed, they surrender control without noticing. Urgency becomes a weapon against clarity. Lack of inner structure leads to emotional shortcuts. People agree too fast. They explain themselves excessively. These behaviors signal uncertainty and invite influence from stronger personalities. Strength begins when responsibility is accepted internally. Awareness replaces blame. Calm replaces panic. This shift marks the first step toward regaining authority over one's life. Many habits seem harmless, but slowly weaken personal power. Apologizing unnecessarily, over-explaining simple choices, seeking reassurance for decisions already made. These patterns train the mind to doubt itself. Each small habit reinforces the idea that permission is required. This belief erodes independence. Others begin to lead emotionally, while the individual follows unconsciously. Weak habits grow stronger when repeated daily. They become automatic responses. Breaking them requires attention and discipline, not force or confrontation. Replacing weak habits with grounded behavior restores balance. Silence replaces excess speech. Confidence replaces justification. Control begins returning naturally. Reactions reveal vulnerability faster than words. Emotional responses give away internal state instantly. When reactions are intense, others gain leverage without effort. Anger, defensiveness, or anxiety provide openings for control. These emotions reduce clarity and increase impulsive behavior. Decisions made in reaction often lead to regret. Strong individuals manage reactions carefully. They pause, they breathe, they observe before responding. This restraint protects authority and preserves dignity. Learning emotional regulation shifts power dynamics. When reactions slow down, influence from others weakens. Calm becomes a form of protection. Simple words hold surprising power because the brain prefers clarity. Complex language creates confusion. Confusion leads to hesitation. Hesitation invites control. Short phrases act like anchors. They stabilize thoughts under pressure. When repeated, they build mental consistency. Consistency builds confidence. Strong words do not need decoration. They communicate certainty without noise. This certainty influences behavior internally before affecting the external world. By choosing simple language, people regain mental balance. Thoughts align, actions follow. Control shifts inward again. Before change happens, the mind must be prepared. Sudden shifts fail without readiness. Preparation builds emotional stability and reduces resistance. This stage involves awareness, not action. Observing patterns, noticing reactions, identifying triggers without judgment. This creates clarity. Preparation strengthens patience. It prevents frustration when progress feels slow. Inner growth requires consistency, not urgency. When the mind is ready, words become effective tools. They land deeper. They reshape behavior gradually and permanently. Inner strength is often misunderstood. Many believe it means never feeling pressure or doubt. In reality, it means staying steady even when pressure exists. Strength shows up in how situations are handled, not in the absence of difficulty. True inner strength is quiet. It does not announce itself. It appears in small choices, calm responses, and firm decisions made without drama. This kind of strength is built internally, not displayed externally. People with inner strength trust their process. They do not rush to prove anything. They allow outcomes to unfold while staying aligned with their values. This creates stability under stress. When inner strength develops, control from others weakens. Influence fades because reactions are no longer predictable. Calm presence replaces emotional exposure. Many confuse strength with aggression. Aggression is loud and reactive. Strength is controlled and deliberate. Aggression seeks dominance. Strength seeks balance. Aggressive behavior often hides insecurity. It relies on volume, pressure, and intimidation. These tactics collapse when faced with calm resistance. Strong individuals do not overpower others. They remain composed. They choose words carefully. Their confidence is internal, not forced. Understanding this difference protects personal authority. It prevents unnecessary conflict and preserves energy. Strength becomes sustainable rather than exhausting. Calm people are difficult to control because they do not offer emotional access. They listen without reacting. They observe without engaging emotionally. When someone remains calm, manipulation loses momentum. Emotional tactics fail because there is nothing to attach to. Control requires reaction to survive. Calmness creates unpredictability. Others cannot anticipate responses. This uncertainty shifts power dynamics instantly. Developing calmness does not mean indifference, it means intentional response. This quality naturally commands respect and limits interference. Emotional discipline is the ability to manage feelings without suppressing them. It allows emotions to exist without letting them control behavior. Without discipline, emotions dictate actions. Decisions become impulsive. Regret follows. Control slips away unnoticed. Discipline creates space between feeling and action. This space allows logic to enter. Logic restores authority. Practicing emotional discipline strengthens independence. It builds trust in one's ability to navigate challenges without external guidance. Self-respect protects energy. When self-respect is low, boundaries collapse. People tolerate behavior that drains them emotionally. Respect begins internally. It shows in how time is valued, how limits are enforced, and how decisions are honored. Others sense self-respect instantly. It changes how people interact. Conversations become balanced. Pressure reduces. By strengthening self-respect, influence from others weakens naturally. Control returns without confrontation or explanation. Inner dialogue shapes behavior more than external advice. The way thoughts are framed internally determines confidence levels. Supportive internal language strengthens decision-making. Critical internal language weakens resolve. Many people sabotage themselves through harsh self-talk. They question choices unnecessarily. This creates hesitation and opens space for outside influence. Improving inner dialogue requires awareness. Catching negative patterns early prevents emotional drift. Neutral language restores balance faster than forced positivity. When inner dialogue stabilizes, confidence becomes consistent. Decisions feel grounded. Control shifts back inward where it belongs. Boundaries are not built through confrontation. They begin with language. Clear wording signals clarity. Unclear wording invites intrusion. When boundaries are weak, people overstep unintentionally. This leads to resentment and emotional exhaustion. Strong boundaries prevent this cycle. Simple phrases create powerful limits. Saying less often communicates more. Confidence grows when boundaries are honored internally first. Language-driven boundaries protect time, energy, and focus. They reduce conflict while increasing self-respect. External approval creates dependency. When validation becomes a need, control is surrendered. Decisions begin serving perception rather than purpose. People who seek approval often over-adjust. They shift opinions to avoid discomfort. This weakens personal authority gradually. Releasing the need for approval restores independence. Choices align with values instead of expectations. Emotional balance improves. When approval loses importance, influence from others fades. Control returns quietly and steadily. Mental resilience is the ability to remain steady under pressure. It develops through experience and reflection. It is not inherited. Without resilience, stress dictates behavior. People react emotionally instead of responding logically. This creates vulnerability. Resilience grows through repeated challenges. Each challenge strengthens internal stability. Confidence builds naturally over time. Strong resilience reduces emotional exposure. Control attempts lose effectiveness. Stability becomes the default state. Reclaiming control is a process, not an event. It happens through daily decisions. Small actions matter more than dramatic changes. Consistency creates momentum. Each controlled response strengthens confidence. Over time, identity begins to shift. Control does not require dominance. It requires clarity. Clear intentions guide behavior effectively. When control is reclaimed internally, external pressure loses impact. Life becomes directed rather than reactive. Words influence behavior long before actions appear. Every statement shapes perception internally and externally. When language is careless, direction becomes unclear. When language is intentional, authority strengthens. Influence does not require persuasion. It begins with certainty. Clear words reflect stable thinking. This stability affects how others respond without effort. People who speak with intention reduce misunderstandings. They are less likely to be challenged or questioned repeatedly. Their clarity sets boundaries naturally. Mastering language as a tool builds personal power. Control grows when words align with purpose and restraint. The brain responds to language as instruction. Repeated phrases form mental patterns. These patterns influence emotions, reactions, and confidence levels. Negative phrasing trains the mind toward avoidance. Positive phrasing alone is not enough. Neutral, grounded wording produces the most stability. Language that emphasizes choice strengthens autonomy. It reminds the mind that control exists internally. This reduces emotional dependency. By refining internal language, thinking becomes structured. Structured thinking resists manipulation and maintains clarity under pressure. Repetition creates belief because familiarity feels safe to the brain. When words repeat, resistance lowers. This allows ideas to settle deeply. Strong repetition does not rely on emotion. It relies on consistency. Calm repetition reshapes identity gradually. People often underestimate repetition because it feels simple. Yet simplicity allows long-term integration. Complexity creates fatigue. Using repetition wisely strengthens inner direction. Control grows quietly through steady reinforcement. Negative self-talk weakens confidence slowly. It does not announce damage. It shapes hesitation over time. This makes influence easier for others. Critical internal language increases emotional exposure. It creates doubt during decisions. Doubt invites external input unnecessarily. Replacing negative self-talk with neutral observation restores balance. It reduces emotional charge and improves judgment. When internal dialogue becomes supportive, strength stabilizes. Decisions become firmer and less influenced by outside pressure. Strong words do not exaggerate. They clarify. They reduce emotional noise and focus attention. This clarity improves decision-making. Words that reflect certainty eliminate hesitation. They guide behavior calmly instead of forcefully. People who choose strong language avoid extremes. They do not overpromise or overreact. This balance increases credibility. Clear language strengthens authority. Authority built this way cannot be easily challenged or controlled. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness, yet it is one of the strongest forms of control. When words are withheld intentionally, power remains protected. Silence prevents emotional leakage and stops unnecessary exposure. People who speak constantly reveal their thinking too early. This gives others information they can use to influence outcomes. Silence removes that advantage completely. Strategic quiet allows observation. It creates space to understand motives, patterns, and intentions. This awareness strengthens decision-making. By embracing silence when appropriate, Inner strength increases. Control stays internal where it belongs. Speaking less does not mean being unclear. It means choosing words carefully. Fewer words often carry more weight when intention is clear. When people speak excessively, their message weakens. Over-explaining signals uncertainty. Confidence communicates through precision. Clear, concise communication reduces misunderstandings. It also limits opportunities for manipulation or pressure. Speaking with purpose builds respect. Respect limits control attempts naturally. Intention transforms language. Words spoken without intention scatter energy. Words spoken with intention direct focus. Intentional language reflects self-awareness. It aligns thoughts, emotions, and actions. This alignment strengthens inner authority. When intention guides speech, emotional reactions decrease. Responses become deliberate rather than automatic. Living with intentional language reinforces personal power. Control becomes a choice, not a struggle. Inner dialogue shapes behavior continuously. It runs quietly beneath conscious awareness. This dialogue determines confidence and emotional stability. When internal conversations are chaotic, external influence increases. Confusion creates openings for control. Clear inner dialogue creates consistency. Consistency builds trust in one's judgment. This trust strengthens independence. By refining inner dialogue, reactions stabilize. Stability limits interference from others. Confident people speak simply because they understand clearly. Complexity often hides uncertainty. Simplicity reflects mastery. Simple language reduces emotional tension. It communicates certainty without pressure. This calm authority influences outcomes naturally. People respond better to clarity than volume. Calm, simple communication builds trust faster than forceful speech. Simplicity strengthens confidence. Confidence protects control from outside influence. 4 words are enough because the mind responds best to clarity. Too many phrases dilute focus and create confusion. When language is compact, it becomes easier to remember and apply under pressure. Short statements act as anchors during stressful moments. They bring attention back to the present and reduce emotional overload. This allows decisions to remain grounded. The power of 4 words lies in their simplicity. They do not overwhelm the mind. Instead, they provide direction without force or complexity. Using fewer words strengthens consistency. Consistency builds confidence. Confidence protects inner control from outside influence. Simplicity is often underestimated. Many believe strength comes from complexity. In reality, simplicity reduces mental friction and increases clarity. Complex systems require constant maintenance. Simple systems work naturally. The same applies to thoughts and language. When thinking is simple, reactions slow down. Slower reactions allow better judgment. Better judgment strengthens independence. Choosing simplicity is choosing control. It removes unnecessary noise and restores balance. Long affirmations often fail because they demand emotional energy. When energy drops, consistency disappears. This makes change unstable. Short phrases integrate easily into daily routines. They require little effort to repeat. This makes them reliable under stress. The brain prefers patterns that feel manageable. Simple phrases fit naturally into memory and behavior. This is why short language produces lasting results. It works quietly and steadily over time. Psychology shows that brief phrases reduce resistance. When the mind is not overwhelmed, it accepts ideas more easily. Short statements bypass overthinking. They settle directly into awareness. This strengthens internal alignment. Lengthy statements invite doubt. Short ones invite action. This difference matters when building inner strength. Understanding this principle allows language to become a tool instead of a struggle. Timing matters because the mind is not always receptive. Words spoken during emotional overload lose effectiveness. Calm moments create openness. In these moments, language settles deeper and lasts longer. Using words intentionally during stable states builds stronger mental patterns. These patterns remain during pressure. Choosing the right moment increases impact. Impact strengthens internal authority and reduces external control. Emotional state matters before speaking the 4 words. If the mind is agitated, words lose their stabilizing power. Calmness allows them to resonate fully. The emotional environment determines how well language is internalized. Practicing emotional grounding prepares the mind. Deep breathing, observation, and reflection reduce stress. When emotional equilibrium exists, the words carry authority silently. Consistency in emotional state strengthens the connection between words and mindset. Each repetition reinforces mental patterns, making responses automatic under pressure. By pairing calm emotions with intention, the 4 words become a tool of resilience. They settle deeply into awareness, protecting inner strength from external influence. Belief in the words is essential. Without conviction, repetition feels empty. The brain recognizes authenticity and reacts accordingly. Belief amplifies impact. Repeated practice builds familiarity and trust. Each use reinforces a sense of personal control. Confidence grows incrementally with every intentional application. Doubt dilutes the effect of the words. Steady reinforcement strengthens self-trust. The mind begins to operate independently, resisting external manipulation. Internalized belief ensures that the words are not just phrases, but active agents of inner authority. They guide behavior consistently in daily challenges. Internal focus matters more than external noise. Many lose control because attention is scattered across opinions, expectations, and distractions. Concentrating inward allows alignment with personal values. When attention is internal, decisions are deliberate and grounded. External pressures lose influence. Regular practice of focusing on inner states strengthens mental clarity. Thoughts become structured. Emotional responses slow down. By prioritizing internal focus, the mind maintains stability. Stability strengthens the effect of the 4 words and protects personal boundaries. Preparation to use the words is as important as the words themselves. A distracted mind cannot harness their power. Intentional mental preparation enhances effectiveness. Preparation involves observing current emotional state, recognizing triggers, and ensuring awareness is clear. This sets the stage for action. Mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways. Anticipating application under real-life stress improves performance. The mind is ready before challenges appear. When preparation is consistent, the 4 words naturally integrate into responses. They no longer require conscious effort, making inner strength automatic. Understanding their deeper meaning ensures effectiveness. Words without comprehension remain superficial. Real impact occurs when meaning is fully internalized. Each word represents a concept tied to personal power, awareness, respect, control, authority. Internalizing these concepts shapes behavior from the core. Deeper meaning transforms repetition into habit. The brain links words with actionable mental patterns. This builds lasting independence. Internalized understanding ensures that the 4 words guide behavior consistently. They become a reliable tool for managing influence and maintaining authority. Awareness is the first defense against manipulation. When people pay attention to their thoughts, emotions, and reactions, they gain a natural sense of control. Observation alone reduces the chance of being steered unconsciously by others. Recognizing triggers is crucial. Each person has subtle cues that provoke reactions, words, tones, or situations. Identifying these triggers provides the opportunity to respond thoughtfully rather than react automatically. Awareness creates a buffer between stimulus and response. This pause allows the mind to choose actions aligned with values rather than external pressures. It strengthens independence and self-confidence. Over time, awareness becomes habitual. The brain begins to process information intentionally, reducing impulsive behaviors. Consistent observation transforms inner strength into a stable foundation that others cannot easily influence. Knowing when control is attempted is an essential skill. People often influence subtly through guilt, urgency, or emotional appeals. Being alert to these methods prevents inadvertent submission. Recognizing manipulation patterns allows strategic decision-making. Instead of reacting to pressure, one can evaluate options and maintain autonomy. This discernment enhances personal authority. Situational awareness reinforces mental clarity. When external attempts at influence are detected early, responses remain calm and deliberate, minimizing emotional drain. Individuals who master this skill naturally command respect. Awareness empowers them to set boundaries without confrontation, making them harder to manipulate over time. Emotional triggers dictate most impulsive responses. When triggers go unnoticed, reactions tend to be exaggerated. Others can exploit this by appealing to fears, desires, or insecurities. Identifying and understanding triggers provides control over behavior. By consciously observing what provokes emotional spikes, individuals can create deliberate, measured responses. Trigger management requires patience and reflection. Awareness of patterns reduces overreactions, builds resilience, and reinforces confidence. Each controlled response strengthens independence. Over time, mastering triggers transforms daily interactions. Responses shift from automatic to intentional, creating a stable inner environment where external pressure holds minimal sway. How awareness stops manipulation is both subtle and powerful. Observation allows one to detect inconsistencies in others' behavior. Recognizing these patterns prevents unconscious compliance. The mind gains freedom when reactions are intentional. By observing before responding, individuals reclaim decision-making authority, reducing the ability of others to control outcomes. Awareness allows clear thinking even under social or emotional pressure. When clarity persists, influence tactics fail because responses are deliberate, measured, and grounded. Repeated practice of awareness establishes a feedback loop. Each controlled reaction reinforces self-trust, steadily building a shield against manipulation and strengthening internal power. Pausing before reacting is a cornerstone of inner strength. Immediate reactions often give others leverage. Pausing allows evaluation of intentions, context, and consequences before acting. This pause is not hesitation, but a deliberate strategy. It signals control and prevents impulsive behavior. Others cannot predict or manipulate the outcome, shifting the power dynamic. Pausing trains the brain to respond consciously. It reduces emotional leakage, preserves mental energy, and strengthens autonomy. This practice fosters consistent inner authority. Over time, pausing becomes second nature. It transforms interactions into deliberate choices rather than reactions, establishing a stable and resilient foundation of self-control. Observing without judging allows clarity. People often react emotionally because they interpret events personally. By noticing situations neutrally, the mind stays calm and decisions remain deliberate. Judgment clouds perception. It triggers defensiveness or overreaction. Awareness without judgment creates space for thoughtful responses, which reduces susceptibility to manipulation. Neutral observation strengthens decision-making. It allows the individual to evaluate situations logically, aligning actions with personal values rather than others' expectations. With repeated practice, neutral observation becomes habitual. Over time, responses are informed, composed, and consistent, making internal authority resilient and reliable. Strength through clarity develops when thoughts are organized and focused. Confusion invites uncertainty, which others can exploit. Clarity reduces this vulnerability. Clear mental frameworks help prioritize actions. When priorities are established internally, external noise has little effect on decision-making. This reinforces independence. Clarity also improves communication. When one expresses thoughts in a structured manner, people naturally respect boundaries and intentions, limiting attempts at control. Over time, clarity integrates into behavior. Actions align with internal values, strengthening authority and creating a consistent presence that others recognize and respect. Breaking automatic reactions requires intentional practice. Most responses are habitual, shaped by repeated patterns of thought and behavior. Without awareness, these habits dictate actions. Identifying automatic responses allows them to be interrupted. Pausing, observing, and reflecting creates space to choose deliberate reactions instead of reacting reflexively. Replacing automatic reactions with conscious responses strengthens self-discipline. Each successful pause reinforces mental resilience and reinforces independence from external influence. With continuous practice, conscious responses become the default. The individual gains steady control over behavior, limiting the ability of others to manipulate through emotional triggers. Awareness creates space between stimulus and response. This space is essential for control. Immediate reactions often surrender power unconsciously. When space is intentionally cultivated, decisions emerge from reason rather than impulse. This protects energy and preserves personal authority. Space also allows reflection on values, intentions, and consequences. It ensures actions align with internal priorities rather than external pressure. Over time, this space becomes a buffer against manipulation. It ensures that influence is earned consciously rather than accepted automatically. Space creates choice. Without it, people react automatically to circumstances and external expectations. With it, decisions reflect conscious intention. Choice is a marker of autonomy. When responses are chosen deliberately, the individual demonstrates self-governance. Others cannot easily direct outcomes. The presence of choice reduces stress. It allows one to engage or disengage thoughtfully, protecting energy and reinforcing independence. When practiced consistently, creating space and making deliberate choices becomes habitual. This establishes inner authority that is resistant to external control. Respect begins internally before it can be projected externally. When a person honors their own decisions, time, and energy, others automatically sense strength. Internal respect sets the tone for interactions. Without self-respect, boundaries collapse. People tolerate behavior that drains them, often without noticing. This erodes authority and increases susceptibility to influence. Self-respect is reflected in choices. When actions align with values, consistency emerges. Others recognize this alignment and naturally offer less interference. Building internal respect requires awareness and practice. Each time a personal limit is maintained, confidence grows. Over time, respect becomes an unshakable foundation that protects autonomy. Low self-respect signals vulnerability. People with diminished self-worth often agree to things they shouldn't, explaining themselves excessively to appease others. This pattern invites control. By consciously valuing personal time and energy, individuals set an internal benchmark. This benchmark guides decisions and filters external pressures. Actions driven by self-respect reinforce authority. Saying no, setting limits, and acting consistently builds credibility. Others begin to adapt to these established boundaries. As self-respect strengthens, influence from others diminishes. Control returns quietly, not through confrontation, but through consistent demonstration of personal value. Standing firm calmly is a form of quiet power. People often mistake loudness for strength, but composed firmness demonstrates true control. Calm presence stabilizes interactions. Composure prevents impulsive decisions and emotional overreactions. When responses are measured, external attempts to sway behavior fail. This creates an aura of authority. Calm firmness also communicates confidence. Others recognize stability and are less likely to push or manipulate. This reinforces the individual's internal authority. Practicing calm steadiness consistently ensures that inner strength becomes habitual. Authority becomes internalized and resistant to external pressures. Ending people-pleasing habits is critical for self-protection. Constantly seeking approval drains energy and undermines autonomy. It fosters dependency and reduces control. Shifting focus from pleasing others to honoring personal priorities strengthens mental clarity. Decisions align with values rather than expectations. Breaking people-pleasing patterns requires awareness and repetition. Each instance of asserting personal boundaries reinforces self-trust and diminishes external influence. Over time, this practice transforms behavior. The individual becomes self-directed, resilient, and difficult to manipulate emotionally. Choosing dignity over approval is a key aspect of internal authority. Seeking external validation often compromises integrity. Maintaining dignity reinforces independence. Acting from dignity preserves emotional energy. Decisions are made consciously rather than reactively. This prevents others from gaining leverage through pressure or expectation. Dignity communicates strength without aggression. Respect is earned naturally when one consistently acts with integrity and clarity. By prioritizing dignity over approval, internal control strengthens, influence from others diminishes, and behavior remains aligned with personal values. Self-worth acts as a protective barrier. When individuals value themselves, they are less likely to give power away. Confidence becomes a shield against manipulation. Low self-worth encourages compromise on personal needs, often silently. This makes individuals more susceptible to control and influence. Recognizing this is the first step toward reclaiming authority. By consistently affirming one's own value through actions and decisions, internal power grows. Each instance of self-assertion reinforces the mind's sense of autonomy. Strengthening self-worth is a gradual process. Over time, it becomes embedded in behavior, creating resilience against external pressures and restoring inner authority. Quiet confidence is more influential than outward force. People who remain composed and assured naturally draw respect. Others are less likely to attempt manipulation against someone who demonstrates calm certainty. Loud or reactive behavior often signals insecurity. In contrast, a steady demeanor conveys self-reliance and decisiveness. This attracts trust and reduces interference. Quiet confidence is developed through consistent practice of controlled responses. Each measured decision builds credibility and reinforces internal strength. Over time, calm, confident behavior becomes habitual. The individual's presence alone communicates authority, making external attempts at control less effective. Emotional discipline is key to preserving autonomy. Uncontrolled emotions create openings for others to influence behavior subtly or overtly. Managing emotional responses strengthens personal authority. Without discipline, stress or provocation can trigger impulsive actions. Each uncontrolled reaction reinforces dependency on external validation. Developing discipline involves monitoring responses, practicing restraint, and allowing emotions to exist without dictating actions. This creates a buffer between stimulus and reaction. Through repeated practice, emotional discipline becomes automatic. The mind can navigate challenging interactions while maintaining calm, making influence from others less effective. Handling criticism wisely reinforces strength. Constructive criticism is valuable, but unwarranted criticism can destabilize confidence. Awareness and measured response protect inner authority. Reacting defensively to every comment weakens autonomy. Choosing which feedback to engage with prevents unnecessary stress and preserves emotional energy. Criticism should be evaluated objectively. Separate factual insight from opinion and respond deliberately rather than impulsively. This demonstrates mental control and reinforces credibility. Consistent management of feedback fosters resilience. Over time, the individual becomes less reactive and maintains focus on personal priorities, reducing susceptibility to external influence. Refusing emotional bait is essential for maintaining control. Many attempts at influence rely on triggering emotional responses such as anger, guilt, or fear. Recognizing and resisting these triggers strengthens autonomy. Responding with calm evaluation rather than emotional reaction preserves authority. This demonstrates internal stability and discourages repeated attempts at manipulation. Awareness of patterns allows preemptive action. By anticipating situations designed to provoke, individuals maintain composure and make deliberate decisions. With continued practice, resisting emotional bait becomes natural. The mind stays grounded, and control over decisions remains firmly internal. Awareness of manipulation tactics is the first step to independence. People often lose control unknowingly because influence is subtle. Recognizing strategies like guilt, flattery, or pressure prevents unconscious submission. Observation sharpens discernment. By noting patterns in others' behavior, individuals can anticipate attempts at influence before reacting. This foresight strengthens autonomy. Knowledge alone is not enough. Application is critical. Awareness must be paired with intentional responses to disrupt habitual submission. Consistent practice reinforces inner authority. Over time, mastery of manipulation awareness builds resilience. Each successful interaction reinforces confidence, gradually creating a shield against external control. Internal consistency is a foundation of inner strength. When thoughts, words, and actions align, others perceive authority naturally. Inconsistency invites doubt and opens doors to influence. Maintaining personal standards requires focus and deliberate choices. Aligning actions with values reduces vulnerability to pressure or persuasion. Consistency enhances credibility. People instinctively respect someone whose behavior is predictable in integrity, yet firm in decision-making. As consistent behavior becomes habitual, personal power grows quietly. The mind relies on internal principles rather than external approval for guidance. Observing others' intentions without immediate judgment increases control. People often react before fully understanding motives, which can be exploited. Neutral observation fosters clarity. Pausing to process information allows informed decisions. This prevents impulsive responses that cede authority to external forces. Observational skills strengthen over time with practice. Each deliberate pause enhances awareness and reduces the ability of others to manipulate emotional reactions. Mastering this skill ensures that interactions are measured. The individual maintains composure, preserving autonomy and internal authority. Deliberate focus protects attention from external interference. Distraction often leads to unintentional compliance. Focusing on priorities allows decisions to remain grounded in personal values. External pressure loses its effect when mental energy is intentionally directed inward. Clear focus reinforces internal authority and strengthens independent thinking. Regular mental training, including concentration exercises and awareness of thought patterns, improves resilience against influence. With continued practice, focus becomes automatic. The individual develops a natural shield, making them less reactive and more deliberate in daily interactions. Confidence without arrogance is the key to control. Excessive assertiveness can provoke resistance, while measured confidence encourages respect. Balanced confidence maintains internal authority without confrontation. Measured confidence is built through repeated experiences of decision-making aligned with values. Each success reinforces trust in personal judgment. People sense genuine confidence and adjust their approach accordingly. Attempts to manipulate are less likely to succeed when authority is projected subtly yet firmly. Sustained confidence eventually becomes habitual. It allows the mind to operate independently, reducing susceptibility to influence from others. Decisive action reinforces control. Indecision allows others to influence outcomes subtly. Making choices promptly after thoughtful evaluation establishes authority over one's own life. Hesitation signals uncertainty. People instinctively attempt to fill the void when decisions are unclear. Decisive individuals eliminate these gaps by trusting their judgment. Confidence in decision-making grows through experience. Each choice, whether small or large, strengthens trust in internal guidance. Mistakes become lessons rather than sources of doubt. Over time, decisive behavior becomes habitual. Others learn to respect personal boundaries, and influence attempts diminish naturally as authority becomes internalized. Maintaining composure under pressure is essential for inner strength. When stress rises, impulsive reactions are more likely. Calmness ensures decisions remain grounded and deliberate. Emotional spikes often invite manipulation. Remaining composed reduces vulnerability to external influence and protects mental energy. Practicing composure involves self-monitoring, reflection, and controlled breathing. These strategies help maintain clarity in challenging situations. As composure becomes second nature, external attempts at control are less effective. Authority and self-trust are reinforced consistently. Self-reliance reduces dependency on others for direction or validation. Individuals who trust their judgment are harder to manipulate because decisions originate internally. Relying excessively on opinions or advice undermines confidence. Each independent decision strengthens autonomy and reinforces internal authority. Building self-reliance requires practice in problem-solving, reflection, and trusting intuition. Each step forward reinforces resilience against external pressure. Over time, self-reliant behavior becomes habitual. The individual operates confidently, resistant to manipulation or coercion. Setting clear mental boundaries protects focus and energy. Mental clutter and external demands can lead to distraction and subtle influence. Boundaries define what is acceptable internally and externally. Without clear boundaries, individuals overextend themselves, lose clarity, and cede control. Boundaries safeguard autonomy by limiting unnecessary engagement. Mental boundaries are maintained by conscious attention, prioritization, and selective engagement. They create stability and reduce the impact of external pressure. With consistent practice, mental boundaries strengthen, focus sharpens, authority solidifies, and internal control becomes resilient. Observing without attachment builds stability. Reacting impulsively to every stimulus allows others to manipulate behavior. Detached observation enables objective evaluation. Detachment does not mean indifference. It allows the mind to respond intentionally rather than emotionally, preserving autonomy. Practicing observation without attachment develops resilience. Each experience strengthens clarity and reinforces self-guided decision-making. Over time, detached observation becomes a natural skill. Internal authority remains strong, and external influence loses effectiveness. Consistency in actions strengthens credibility. People unconsciously test boundaries, and predictable behavior signals authority. Inconsistent actions invite doubt and manipulation. When actions align with intentions, confidence grows. This internal alignment reinforces personal authority and reduces reliance on external validation. Habitual consistency allows others to anticipate reliability without exploiting it. Authority becomes evident through behavior rather than forceful assertion. Over time, consistent patterns form a foundation of trust and influence. Internal control strengthens, and external attempts to sway decisions diminish naturally. Managing energy wisely protects mental clarity. Reacting to every demand or distraction drains focus and increases susceptibility to influence. Energy allocation ensures priorities remain intact. Overcommitting or engaging unnecessarily dilutes personal power. By consciously deciding where attention goes, individuals maintain autonomy and reduce manipulation. Monitoring energy requires reflection and boundary setting. Prioritizing essential tasks preserves resilience and keeps decision-making grounded. With continued practice, energy management becomes habitual. Focus remains sharp. Internal authority strengthens, and external pressures have limited effect. Internal alignment shapes external results. When beliefs, words, and actions are congruent, others recognize competence and independence. Misalignment, however, creates openings for control. Achieving alignment requires honest evaluation of priorities, values, and intentions. Decisions grounded in alignment are less likely to be influenced externally. Internal alignment reduces conflict between actions and thoughts, creating consistency in behavior. This reliability discourages manipulation and enhances credibility. Over time, alignment becomes automatic. Authority is projected naturally, reducing the need for reactive defenses and solidifying internal control. Calm observation of social cues enhances autonomy. People often influence subtly through body language, tone, or suggestion. Awareness of these cues enables strategic response. Observation, without immediate reaction, allows the mind to process context and intent. This prevents automatic compliance and maintains independence. Practicing this skill builds social intelligence and internal authority. Each controlled response reinforces stability and reduces vulnerability. Eventually, calm observation becomes intuitive. The individual anticipates influence attempts, responds thoughtfully, and preserves control effortlessly. Control begins in thought before action. Mental preparation ensures responses are intentional, not reactive. Without internal readiness, external influence easily penetrates. By visualizing potential outcomes and planning responses, individuals reduce uncertainty. This proactive approach strengthens decision-making and protects autonomy. Preparedness allows deliberate action even under pressure. Each successful application reinforces internal authority and builds confidence. With regular mental preparation, responses become habitual. Control resides internally. Decisions reflect personal priorities, and susceptibility to manipulation diminishes. Observing patterns in interactions strengthens decision-making. People repeat behaviors, and identifying recurring strategies allows the mind to anticipate influence attempts. Pattern recognition reduces impulsive reactions. By understanding typical behaviors of others, responses become deliberate and aligned with personal priorities. Consistent practice of observing patterns builds foresight. Each experience reinforces internal authority and diminishes vulnerability to manipulation. Over time, pattern awareness becomes intuitive. The individual responds with calculated intention, maintaining control in social and professional situations effortlessly. Deliberate repetition of empowering phrases reinforces confidence. Short, consistent statements anchor thoughts and influence behavior subtly but effectively. Repetition trains the mind to associate words with action. Over time, internalized phrases guide decision-making under pressure, strengthening autonomy. Consistent practice ensures the phrases remain effective, even in challenging circumstances. The brain integrates them as habitual tools for resilience. With repeated use, these statements cultivate stability, reducing susceptibility to external influence and reinforcing internal authority naturally. Mental preparation before interactions ensures responses are intentional. Thinking ahead about possible scenarios reduces the chance of being reactive or manipulated. Anticipating challenges allows the individual to develop strategies, maintain composure, and communicate with clarity. Preparedness fosters self-reliance. Preparedness also reduces stress. Knowing possible outcomes and having a mental plan enables calmer responses, preventing emotional hijacking. Over time, mental rehearsal strengthens internal control. Decisions become more consistent, and influence from others loses power effortlessly. Confidence grows through repeated success in decision-making. Each choice made intentionally and followed through reinforces self-trust and independence. Confidence without arrogance attracts respect naturally. Others recognize reliability and are less likely to attempt manipulation. Experience strengthens judgment. Mistakes become lessons rather than sources of doubt, enhancing resilience and authority over time. Eventually, confidence becomes habitual. The mind operates independently, decisions are deliberate, and external attempts at influence have minimal effect. Emotional self-regulation prevents others from gaining leverage. Managing responses ensures that reactions are measured rather than impulsive. Protecting mental energy. Uncontrolled emotions create openings for influence. Each reaction carries cues that others can exploit to manipulate outcomes. Practicing regulation builds resilience. Awareness of emotional triggers and deliberate responses strengthen stability in challenging situations. Over time, emotional control becomes automatic. The individual maintains calm, makes intentional choices, and preserves autonomy consistently. Developing patience enhances control. Impulsive reactions often allow others to dictate outcomes. Patience provides space for thoughtful consideration before acting. When decisions are delayed intentionally, the mind can assess the situation clearly. This reduces emotional responses and increases resilience against manipulation. Practicing patience strengthens internal authority. Each measured decision reinforces self-trust and improves long-term judgment. Over time, patience becomes habitual. Individuals respond strategically, maintain composure, and prevent others from influencing their actions. Focusing on long-term goals reduces susceptibility to short-term pressures. Immediate distractions often provoke reactive behavior. A clear vision maintains direction. When priorities are clear, minor attempts at control by others are less effective. Actions align with objectives, not with external pressure or manipulation. Consistent focus requires deliberate planning and reflection. Each step toward goals reinforces self-discipline and autonomy. Over time, long-term focus becomes internalized. The mind filters distractions, decisions remain grounded, and authority is strengthened naturally. Understanding cause and effect in interactions improves decision-making. Every action produces predictable reactions, and awareness of these patterns empowers controlled responses. Predicting outcomes prevents impulsive compliance. By analyzing likely consequences, the individual navigates challenges deliberately. Practicing causal reasoning strengthens problem-solving skills. Each application reinforces confidence and reduces dependency on others' guidance. Eventually, this analytical approach becomes habitual. The mind evaluates situations systematically, maintaining control and reducing vulnerability to external influence. Mastering self-reflection supports autonomy. Evaluating past decisions and responses fosters awareness of patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. This insight strengthens future choices. Without reflection, habits dominate behavior unconsciously. External forces exploit these blind spots easily. Self-reflection prevents repetitive errors and builds independence. Regular reflection sharpens judgment. Learning from past experiences reinforces self-trust and improves emotional regulation in interactions. Over time, self-reflection becomes a natural tool. Decisions are informed, composed, and resistant to outside influence, increasing internal authority. Managing attention protects mental focus. Divided attention creates openings for manipulation and weakens decision-making. Concentrated focus preserves internal control. Distractions dilute energy and reduce clarity. By consciously directing attention, the individual prioritizes actions and strengthens autonomy. Focused attention enhances observation skills, enabling early recognition of external influence attempts. This allows proactive responses rather than reactive ones. With consistent practice, Focused attention becomes habitual. The mind stays grounded. Decisions are deliberate, and personal authority strengthens naturally. Practicing self-discipline reinforces inner strength. Without discipline, impulses dictate behavior, making it easier for others to influence decisions. Discipline requires conscious effort to regulate action, speech, and thoughts. It involves setting standards and following them consistently, even when challenged. Over time, disciplined habits reinforce confidence and reliability. Each instance of self-control strengthens internal authority and reduces vulnerability to manipulation. As self-discipline becomes habitual, the mind operates predictably yet autonomously. Decisions remain deliberate, consistent, and aligned with personal priorities. Observing without immediate judgment builds mental resilience. Reacting hastily often leads to concessions or mistakes that compromise control. Neutral observation allows the individual to assess intent, context, and possible outcomes before responding. This deliberate approach reduces emotional interference. Practicing impartial observation strengthens awareness and analytical thinking. It allows responses to be guided by strategy rather than emotion. Over time, this practice becomes instinctive. Interactions are measured. Influence attempts lose power, and internal authority is consistently reinforced. Prioritizing mental clarity improves decision-making. Confused or cluttered thinking increases susceptibility to influence and reduces confidence in choices. Maintaining clarity requires organizing thoughts, minimizing distractions, and focusing on relevant information. Each step reinforces internal control. Clear thinking supports consistent behavior and effective communication. It also strengthens credibility, making it harder for others to sway decisions. With regular practice, mental clarity becomes habitual. The individual navigates challenges efficiently. Decisions remain deliberate, and authority remains intact. Internal validation outweighs external approval. Dependence on praise or recognition weakens autonomy. As choices become guided by others' expectations, focusing on internal measures of success strengthens self-trust. Decisions align with personal values rather than external pressures, reinforcing independence. Over time, reliance on internal validation reduces susceptibility to manipulation. Confidence emerges from within, creating consistent authority. Practicing this mindset consistently ensures decisions remain authentic. External influence diminishes, and the individual maintains control over actions and outcomes. Learning from controlled mistakes strengthens resilience. Failure is inevitable, but managing responses teaches awareness, patience, and strategy. Mistakes become valuable lessons rather than sources of self-doubt. Each recovery reinforces problem-solving skills and internal authority. Reflecting on errors encourages adjustment and proactive thinking, preventing repetition of patterns that compromise autonomy. Over time, resilience becomes embedded. The individual navigates challenges with confidence, turning setbacks into opportunities for growth while maintaining control. Practicing decisive restraint strengthens inner authority. Acting impulsively often grants others control over situations. Choosing when to act carefully builds credibility and influence. Restraint allows time for evaluation, observing circumstances, anticipating outcomes, and considering consequences. Reduce mistakes and improve strategic decision-making. With consistent practice, restraint becomes intuitive. The individual can manage reactions, preserving energy and maintaining authority in challenging scenarios. Over time, measured restraint establishes a calm and confident presence. External influence diminishes as actions consistently reflect deliberate judgment and self-control. Monitoring personal boundaries ensures autonomy. Undefined limits invite intrusion and manipulation. Awareness of mental, emotional, and time-related boundaries protects independence. Clear boundaries reduce exposure to coercion. By defining acceptable behavior for themselves and others, individuals maintain control over decisions and interactions. Regular evaluation of boundaries reinforces self-respect. Adjusting them as necessary strengthens resilience and ensures consistent authority in relationships and environments. With habitual boundary management, the individual maintains clarity, confidence, and control, minimizing susceptibility to outside influence. Practicing selective engagement preserves focus. Responding to every demand or input can drain energy and weaken judgment. Choosing what to engage with protects autonomy. Selective engagement ensures actions remain aligned with priorities and values. Unnecessary involvement is minimized, reducing opportunities for manipulation. Over time, this practice strengthens self-trust. The individual learns to respond intentionally, reserving attention for situations that truly matter. As a result, focused engagement becomes natural. External influence diminishes, and internal authority becomes consistently reinforced through deliberate action. Observing outcomes of past interactions strengthens foresight. Reflection on cause and effect highlights patterns in behavior, both personal and external. This awareness allows individuals to anticipate possible manipulation tactics and respond strategically. Each reflection reinforces judgment and self-control. Analyzing successes and mistakes promotes continuous growth. Over time, patterns become recognizable, reducing surprises and enhancing confidence in decision-making. Repeated practice embeds foresight as a natural skill. The individual navigates interactions with precision, maintaining autonomy and resilience effortlessly. Practicing calm detachment from provocation enhances resilience. Emotional reactions often give others leverage. Detachment ensures responses remain intentional. Detachment allows evaluation of intent without emotional interference. Actions remain grounded, decisions are deliberate, and energy is preserved. Over time, detachment becomes instinctive. Each situation reinforces the ability to respond strategically rather than reactively, solidifying internal authority. Habitual detachment protects mental stability. The individual remains composed under pressure. Decisions align with priorities, and external influence loses effectiveness. Practicing intentional speech reinforces control. Words carry power, and careless language can reveal uncertainty or invite influence from others. Choosing words deliberately ensures clarity and prevents misinterpretation. Speaking with intention strengthens credibility and conveys authority naturally. Over time, intentional speech becomes habitual. The mind aligns language with thought, reducing impulsive reactions and strengthening internal control. This practice enhances respect and influence. Others respond to measured communication, and attempts at manipulation lose effectiveness. Maintaining focus on solutions rather than problems builds resilience. Dwelling on challenges amplifies stress and creates openings for external control. Solution-oriented thinking directs energy toward actionable steps. It strengthens problem-solving skills and reinforces personal authority. By consistently choosing proactive approaches, individuals develop confidence in their ability to manage circumstances independently. Over time, solution-focused behavior becomes natural. Decisions are grounded, responses deliberate, and internal control is preserved against external influence. Awareness of personal triggers prevents unintentional reactions. Recognizing what provokes emotional spikes allows the mind to respond strategically rather than reflexively. Monitoring triggers reduces susceptibility to influence. Emotional self-regulation becomes a tool for preserving autonomy and maintaining composure. Practicing trigger awareness reinforces mental clarity. Each deliberate response strengthens resilience and builds confidence in independent decision-making. With habitual trigger management, the individual navigates interactions calmly. External pressures have less impact and authority remains internalized. Practicing measured assertiveness protects boundaries without aggression. Clear, confident communication reduces misunderstandings and discourages attempts at control. Assertiveness requires balancing confidence with respect. Overly passive behavior invites manipulation, while aggression can provoke resistance. Regular practice strengthens assertive skills. Each application reinforces self-trust, preserves energy, and maintains autonomy. Over time, measured assertiveness becomes intuitive. The individual commands respect, sets limits naturally, and external influence diminishes. Reflecting on intentions before acting strengthens decision-making. Impulsive behavior often leads to compromised outcomes and opens the door for manipulation. Evaluation of motives allows alignment between actions and personal priorities. This ensures that decisions are deliberate rather than reactionary. Habitual reflection promotes consistent judgment and reinforces internal authority. Each deliberate choice strengthens confidence and reduces external pressure. Over time, intentional reflection becomes second nature. The individual acts strategically, maintains composure, and preserves control over outcomes. Prioritizing self-care strengthens resilience. Neglecting mental and physical well-being reduces clarity and increases susceptibility to influence. Caring for oneself ensures energy and focus are maintained. Rest, nutrition, and mental exercises create a stable foundation for deliberate action. Regular self-care reinforces discipline and internal authority. It signals to the mind that boundaries and priorities matter. Over time, self-care becomes habitual. The individual maintains focus, makes intentional decisions, and remains less vulnerable to external pressures. Observing the intentions behind others' words improves judgment. Not all communication is neutral. Hidden motives can influence reactions if ignored. Critical observation allows for strategic responses. By identifying intent, individuals prevent impulsive compliance and maintain autonomy. Practicing this skill sharpens discernment. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen awareness and internal authority. With repeated application, understanding intentions becomes intuitive. Decisions remain deliberate. Energy is preserved, and influence from others decreases. Structured routines enhance control over the day. Chaos invites external influence, while predictable habits maintain focus and autonomy. Routines organize time, energy, and attention. Consistency in daily practices reinforces discipline and mental clarity. Over time, routines solidify habits of self-regulation. Each repetition strengthens confidence, decision-making, and internal authority. Habitual routines create an environment where focus and control are maintained naturally. External attempts to manipulate time or priorities have minimal impact. Deliberate reflection after challenges builds insight. Evaluating past interactions highlights patterns, successes, and areas for improvement. This process reinforces learning from experience. Awareness of outcomes allows for more strategic responses in the future. Regular reflection strengthens problem-solving, resilience, and self-trust. Each evaluation improves confidence in navigating complex situations. Over time, reflection becomes second nature. The individual acts with intention, avoids repeated mistakes, and maintains control over responses. Maintaining emotional neutrality under pressure protects mental clarity. Strong emotional reactions can give others leverage in subtle ways. Neutrality allows the mind to assess situations objectively. This enables deliberate decisions rather than impulsive responses driven by stress. Practicing emotional neutrality develops resilience and reduces vulnerability. Each controlled response strengthens internal authority. Eventually, neutrality becomes instinctive. The individual navigates challenges calmly, energy is preserved, and external influence loses power. Mindful listening strengthens influence control. When individuals focus fully on what is being said, they understand context, motives, and subtleties that others may overlook. Listening attentively prevents misinterpretation and impulsive reactions. It provides time to process information and respond deliberately rather than emotionally. Practicing mindful listening enhances discernment. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen judgment, maintain autonomy, and reduce vulnerability to manipulation. Over time, Attentive listening becomes second nature. The individual comprehends intentions clearly, responds thoughtfully, and retains internal authority consistently. Prioritizing clarity in thought prevents confusion and indecision. Unclear thinking often leads to reactive behavior and external influence. Organizing ideas before acting or speaking ensures alignment with personal goals and values. This structured approach reinforces self-confidence and independence. Regular practice of clear thinking strengthens problem-solving abilities. Each intentional decision enhances internal authority and reduces susceptibility to persuasion. With habitual clarity, the mind navigates challenges efficiently. Decisions remain deliberate, actions consistent, and external attempts at influence are minimized. Balancing assertiveness and flexibility maintains authority while avoiding unnecessary conflict. Rigid behavior may provoke resistance, while passivity invites control. Strategic flexibility allows the individual to adapt without compromising core values. Decisions remain intentional, protecting internal control. Practicing this balance strengthens credibility and trust. Others respect firmness tempered with adaptability, reducing attempts at manipulation. Over time, this balance becomes instinctive. Internal authority is maintained, interactions are composed, and influence from others diminishes naturally. Controlled breathing techniques support calm decision-making. Physiological stress responses often trigger impulsive behavior, making individuals more vulnerable to influence. Regulated breathing reduces stress, improves focus, and stabilizes emotional responses. This creates mental space for deliberate thought and action. Consistent practice reinforces resilience under pressure. Each controlled response strengthens internal authority and preserves autonomy. Eventually, calm breathing becomes habitual. The individual navigates stressful situations with composure, maintains energy, and resists external manipulation effectively. Evaluating risks before acting strengthens decision-making. Hasty choices often result in unintended consequences that compromise autonomy. By analyzing potential outcomes, individuals can weigh options and choose responses aligned with personal goals and values. Practicing risk assessment builds foresight and confidence. Each successful evaluation reinforces self-trust and reduces susceptibility to external control. Over time, evaluating risks becomes instinctive. Decisions remain deliberate, consequences anticipated, and internal authority consistently protected. Practicing selective disclosure strengthens control over personal information. Oversharing can create opportunities for manipulation, while careful sharing maintains autonomy. Knowing what to reveal and when allows individuals to protect boundaries. Information is power, and managing it strategically preserves authority. Consistent practice of selective disclosure reinforces awareness. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to safeguard decisions and energy from external influence. Over time, selective disclosure becomes instinctive. The individual communicates with purpose, maintains control over outcomes, and diminishes the effectiveness of others' attempts at manipulation. Deliberate prioritization of tasks reinforces independence. Without clear priorities, distractions and pressures can derail focus and increase susceptibility to external influence. Prioritizing ensures actions align with personal goals. It prevents overcommitment, protects energy, and supports deliberate decision-making. Practicing task prioritization strengthens discipline and self-trust. Each successful allocation of attention reinforces internal authority. Eventually, prioritization becomes habitual. Focus remains sharp, productivity improves, and influence from others diminishes naturally. Maintaining consistency in small daily habits builds long-term resilience. Minor lapses accumulate and create openings for external influence over time. Daily habits shape the mind's default responses. By controlling routines, the individual strengthens predictability and self-regulation and autonomy. Practicing habit consistency reinforces internal authority Each repeated behavior reinforces self-discipline, energy management, and focus on priorities. Over time, these consistent habits become second nature. The individual develops a stable foundation for decision-making and resists attempts at external manipulation. Structured reflection after interactions improves judgment. Analyzing what worked, what didn't, and why strengthens awareness and future responses. Reflection ensures lessons are internalized. Each insight provides a tool for improved decision-making and controlled reactions in similar scenarios. Practicing reflection enhances resilience and self-trust. It reinforces autonomy by transforming experiences into practical knowledge rather than repeated mistakes. Over time, reflection becomes instinctive. The individual navigates challenges strategically, maintains composure, and protects internal authority effortlessly. Focused observation of body language and tone enhances understanding. Nonverbal cues often reveal intentions that words alone may obscure. Awareness of subtle signals allows for proactive responses. This prevents impulsive reactions and strengthens control over interactions. Practicing observation improves social intelligence. Each measured response reinforces internal authority and reduces vulnerability to manipulation. Over time, this skill becomes intuitive. The individual interprets interactions accurately, responds strategically, and maintains autonomy consistently. Practicing deliberate time management strengthens control over personal priorities. Unstructured schedules often lead to reactive behavior, giving others indirect influence. Allocating time thoughtfully ensures energy is focused on meaningful tasks. This prevents unnecessary stress and reinforces autonomy over decisions. Regular practice of structured time management builds discipline and consistency. Each planned activity reinforces internal authority and self-trust. Over time, effective time management becomes habitual. The individual operates efficiently, maintains focus, and reduces vulnerability to external pressures. Developing resilience through adversity strengthens mental toughness. Challenges test boundaries and reveal areas of vulnerability that can be exploited if ignored. Facing obstacles intentionally and learning from them enhances problem-solving and decision-making skills. Each challenge overcome reinforces confidence. Resilience practice encourages a proactive mindset. Anticipating difficulties and preparing responses reduces the likelihood of reactive compliance. Over time, resilience becomes second nature. The individual maintains control in unpredictable situations, making external influence less effective. Practicing measured responses under criticism reinforces stability. Reacting defensively can escalate situations and diminish authority, while deliberate responses maintain composure. Evaluating feedback objectively allows learning without emotional compromise. Not all criticism is accurate. Discerning value preserves confidence and independence. Regular practice of measured responses strengthens self-control. Each constructive interaction reinforces credibility and reduces susceptibility to manipulation. Eventually, deliberate responses become instinctive. The individual navigates critique confidently, maintains authority, and preserves autonomy. Focusing on solutions instead of problems improves control and efficiency. Dwelling on obstacles increases stress and opens the door for external influence. Solution-focused thinking directs energy toward actionable steps, reinforcing self-reliance and decision-making skills. Consistent practice strengthens confidence in handling challenges. Each successful resolution builds internal authority and reduces dependence on external guidance. Over time, this mindset becomes habitual. The individual responds proactively, navigates challenges strategically, and preserves autonomy consistently. Practicing mental visualization strengthens preparedness for difficult interactions. Anticipating scenarios allows strategic planning rather than reactive behavior. Visualization helps identify potential challenges, responses, and consequences. This foresight strengthens judgment and reduces susceptibility to manipulation. Consistent mental rehearsal reinforces confidence and self-trust. Each scenario envisioned and planned for strengthens internal authority and autonomy. Eventually, visualization becomes intuitive. The individual responds strategically under pressure, maintains composure, and preserves control over outcomes. Mastering the art of saying no is a cornerstone of independence. People often overcommit because they fear rejection or judgment, leaving themselves vulnerable to influence. Learning to decline requests firmly, yet politely establishes authority over personal choices. Each refusal reinforces a sense of self-worth and communicates clear boundaries to others, creating a natural respect that discourages manipulation. Saying no effectively begins with self-awareness. Recognizing your limits, whether emotional, mental, or physical, is essential. When individuals understand their thresholds, they can respond without guilt or hesitation. This awareness cultivates confidence and demonstrates that your time and energy are non-negotiable, which is a subtle yet powerful form of inner strength. Over time, practicing saying no becomes an intuitive habit. Initially, it may feel uncomfortable or even confrontational, but with repetition, the mind internalizes the principle that personal priorities come first. Each scenario where a refusal is necessary reinforces the ability to act decisively without external pressure dictating choices. This habit also encourages reflection on commitments and relationships. People who honor their boundaries attract others who respect them, while those who attempt to exert control naturally step back. In this way, saying no is not merely a defensive act. It is a proactive strategy that strengthens inner autonomy and reduces the potential for manipulation in both personal and professional life. Developing mental clarity through journaling or structured thought exercises enhances self-control. Random thoughts and emotional reactions often cloud judgment, leaving individuals vulnerable to subtle influence. By articulating feelings, priorities, and anticipated decisions on paper or digitally, the mind organizes itself, creating a roadmap for intentional action rather than impulsive compliance. Structured reflection encourages awareness of patterns in behavior, both internally and externally. By recording instances of external pressure or conflict, one can identify recurring manipulative tactics, recognize personal triggers, and plan strategic responses. This level of insight transforms reactive tendencies into deliberate, measured responses that reinforce autonomy. Journaling also serves as a tool for accountability. Each entry allows the individual to evaluate whether actions and decisions aligned with personal priorities or yielded to outside influence. Over time, this practice builds confidence and strengthens mental frameworks, creating an internal guide for future interactions. Eventually, the habit of structured mental reflection becomes second nature. Decisions are no longer impulsive, but rooted in clarity and foresight. The mind operates strategically, navigating challenges while minimizing the sway of others' opinions or attempts to control outcomes, creating a resilient and self-directed mindset. Cultivating selective empathy is a subtle but powerful tool in maintaining independence. While understanding others' emotions fosters cooperation, unchecked emotional absorption can make one susceptible to manipulation. Learning to empathize strategically, recognizing feelings without adopting them, strengthens emotional boundaries and preserves energy. This skill allows individuals to navigate complex interactions with grace while maintaining autonomy. By perceiving the motives behind emotional expressions, one can respond with composure, offer measured support, and avoid being drawn into reactive patterns dictated by others. Empathy becomes a tool for insight, not vulnerability. Practicing selective empathy requires consistent self-monitoring. Each interaction provides feedback on when emotional engagement enhances outcomes versus when it erodes control. Over time, individuals can calibrate their responses, maintaining warmth and understanding without sacrificing personal authority or mental stability. Ultimately, selective empathy builds relational intelligence and fortifies inner strength. Those who attempt to manipulate through guilt, flattery, or emotional pressure find their influence diminished. The individual navigates relationships with precision, responding appropriately while retaining full autonomy and authority. Harnessing the power of deliberate isolation enhances focus and self-reliance. Periodically stepping back from social noise, distractions, or overstimulation allows the mind to process experiences, evaluate decisions, and restore energy. Without these periods, external demands and opinions can quietly erode self-direction. During intentional isolation, reflection and strategy take precedence. Individuals can analyze past interactions, anticipate potential challenges, and refine decision-making frameworks. This solitude is not withdrawal from life, but a conscious cultivation of mental clarity and preparedness. Deliberate isolation also reinforces confidence. Removing constant feedback or validation from others highlights the ability to rely solely on internal judgment. Over time, these periods of self-reliance foster decisiveness, emotional stability, and autonomy in a variety of contexts. Eventually, integrating strategic isolation into daily life transforms it into a source of empowerment rather than loneliness. Individuals emerge with sharpened focus, stronger boundaries, and a resilient mindset that is resistant to manipulation and fully capable of navigating complex personal or professional environments. Building resilience through incremental challenges strengthens inner authority. Stepping into uncomfortable or high-stakes situations trains the mind to respond rather than react, cultivating confidence and adaptability. Each challenge conquered demonstrates capability and reduces fear of external pressures. Incremental challenges work best when carefully selected to push boundaries without overwhelming. This could involve difficult conversations, taking on new responsibilities, or exploring unfamiliar social or professional environments. Successfully navigating these scenarios reinforces the understanding that personal competence is not dependent on others' approval. Reflection after each challenge ensures lessons are internalized. Evaluating decisions, outcomes, and emotional responses highlights areas for improvement while cementing strategies that preserve autonomy and control. This cycle of action and reflection is critical for long-term resilience. Over time, facing challenges builds a robust mental framework. Individuals develop confidence in their ability to manage uncertainty, maintain composure under pressure, and prevent external influence from undermining their decisions. Inner authority becomes habitual, grounded in experience, and self-reinforcing. Mastering the skill of strategic observation increases situational awareness. By paying attention to the subtleties of behavior, tone, and timing, individuals can anticipate attempts to influence them without reacting impulsively. Observation requires a patient, deliberate mindset. Instead of rushing to conclusions, the mind analyzes patterns, considering both intentions and consequences. This careful assessment creates a buffer between stimulus and response, giving internal authority time to act. Practicing strategic observation regularly strengthens intuition. The more consistently individuals analyze interactions, the quicker they can recognize manipulative tactics or hidden motives, reducing susceptibility to influence. Eventually, observation becomes second nature. Individuals respond with measured precision, maintain composure under social pressure, and command respect naturally, ensuring autonomy in all interactions. Developing emotional endurance allows individuals to maintain clarity under pressure. People often surrender control when emotions run high, but resilience in feelings preserves independence. Emotional endurance is built gradually by facing uncomfortable scenarios and regulating responses. This involves recognizing triggers, pausing, and reframing events objectively to prevent impulsive reactions. Through consistent practice, individuals strengthen mental toughness. Each successfully managed emotional challenge reinforces trust in personal judgment and fortifies internal authority. Over time, emotional endurance becomes habitual. The mind remains steady under stress, decisions are deliberate, and external pressures lose the ability to disrupt focus or confidence. Establishing a clear value system acts as a compass for decision making. When principles are defined, choices are guided internally rather than by external expectations. Values serve as boundaries. They help distinguish between what aligns with personal priorities and what is manipulative or coercive, creating a filter that preserves autonomy. Practicing decision-making in alignment with values strengthens internal authority. Each consistent choice builds confidence and reinforces independence from outside influence. Eventually, the value system operates automatically. Individuals navigate challenges intuitively, ensuring actions are deliberate, grounded, and resistant to manipulation. Practicing controlled curiosity allows exploration without losing self-direction. Inquiry and observation expand understanding while protecting internal decision-making from outside control. Curiosity should be disciplined. Questions are asked strategically, and attention is directed to learning rather than reacting to external influence or social pressure. Consistent practice enhances analytical skills and insight. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to gather information and reinforce mental clarity without sacrificing autonomy. Over time, disciplined curiosity develops into a natural habit. Individuals respond intelligently, assess risks, and maintain authority over their actions in dynamic environments. Building mental resilience through scenario planning prepares individuals for complex or unpredictable situations. Anticipating potential outcomes reduces reactionary behavior and strengthens decision-making. Scenario planning involves evaluating multiple possible outcomes, assessing risks, and preparing structured responses. This reduces uncertainty and ensures choices are guided by strategy, not emotion. Practicing this consistently enhances foresight. Each mental rehearsal reinforces confidence in handling unexpected circumstances, reducing vulnerability to manipulation. Over time, scenario planning becomes instinctive. The mind reacts proactively. Decisions are grounded in preparation, and authority is maintained regardless of external pressures. Strengthening focus through single-task engagement prevents distractions from eroding autonomy. Multitasking often dilutes attention, making the mind susceptible to influence and error. Single-task focus encourages deeper engagement, improved performance, and clarity of thought. By concentrating fully on one objective at a time, individuals maintain control over mental energy. Regularly practicing focused work builds discipline and internal authority. Each successful completion reinforces confidence in handling tasks independently and efficiently. Eventually, this focus becomes a habit. Individuals navigate responsibilities deliberately, maintain attention under pressure, and reduce the potential for outside manipulation. Practicing assertive body language enhances confidence and perceived authority. Nonverbal cues often communicate control more powerfully than words, influencing how others interact. Maintaining posture, eye contact, and measured gestures conveys certainty and self-assurance. These subtle signals discourage attempts at manipulation without confrontation. Consistent practice strengthens presence. Each interaction reinforces self-confidence, authority, and the ability to command respect naturally. Over time, assertive body language becomes automatic. The individual projects strength, maintains autonomy, and reduces the likelihood of others attempting control. Developing an internal decision-making framework strengthens independence. Clear processes for evaluating options, risks, and outcomes ensure choices are guided by reasoning rather than external pressure. A structured framework reduces impulsive reactions. By following predetermined steps, individuals maintain consistency, accountability, and clarity in actions. Regular practice enhances mental discipline and self-trust. Each completed decision reinforces internal authority and reduces reliance on others' guidance. Eventually, decision-making frameworks operate intuitively. The mind approaches challenges systematically, decisions are deliberate, and autonomy is preserved. Practicing mindful detachment prevents over-identification with others' opinions or reactions. Over-involvement can lead to emotional manipulation or reactive behavior. Detachment allows evaluation of input without adopting it. Individuals can weigh the relevance of external influence while maintaining control over choices and responses. Consistent practice reinforces mental clarity and resilience. Each controlled response strengthens self-trust and protects internal authority from being undermined. Over time, detachment becomes instinctive. The individual navigates relationships thoughtfully, responds strategically, and maintains independence in complex social environments. Strengthening adaptability ensures stability, even in unpredictable environments. Flexibility in approach allows adjustment to circumstances without compromising core priorities. Adaptability requires awareness of variables, careful evaluation, and strategic shifts in behavior. This prevents rigid reactions that can lead to loss of autonomy under pressure. Practicing adaptability builds resilience and confidence. Each instance of successful adjustment reinforces internal authority and preserves decision-making power. Over time, adaptability becomes habitual. The individual responds fluidly to change, maintains composure, and reduces susceptibility to external manipulation. Practicing controlled reflection during conflicts strengthens internal composure. Arguments and disagreements often trigger impulsive reactions that compromise autonomy. By pausing to analyze the situation, considering motives, potential outcomes, and the best course of action, individuals maintain mental clarity. This deliberate approach prevents manipulation through emotional provocation. Reflection during tension also reinforces judgment. Each successfully managed conflict becomes a lesson in restraint, strategic response, and preservation of authority. Over time, the ability to remain reflective under pressure becomes automatic. Individuals respond calmly, make deliberate decisions, and maintain control over interactions without giving in to external influence. Building patience through deliberate delay enhances decision-making. Immediate reactions often lead to regret or compromise, making individuals vulnerable to external control. Patience allows time for analysis and consideration. By intentionally waiting before responding to requests, comments, or provocations, individuals make informed strategic choices rather than impulsive ones. Consistent practice strengthens mental discipline. Each instance of delayed action reinforces the understanding that self-control outweighs instant gratification and external pressure. Eventually, patience becomes habitual. Decisions are thoughtful. Response is measured. And the individual demonstrates consistent authority and autonomy in all areas of life. Cultivating a habit of strategic questioning improves clarity and reduces manipulation. Asking precise questions uncovers intentions, motives, and hidden agendas. Strategic questioning is not confrontational. It guides interactions in a way that preserves control. It allows individuals to extract necessary information while maintaining autonomy and assessing credibility. Consistent use of this approach strengthens analytical skills and confidence. Each interaction becomes a learning opportunity, refining judgment and reinforcing internal authority. Over time, questioning becomes instinctive. The mind assesses information critically, responds intelligently, and maintains control over both communication and decisions. Maintaining emotional equilibrium in high-stakes environments protects authority. Strong emotional swings often signal vulnerability, which others can exploit to influence behavior. Equilibrium is achieved through awareness of triggers, conscious regulation of responses, and reframing stressful situations. This creates a mental buffer between stimulus and reaction. Practicing emotional control strengthens resilience and confidence. Each managed response reinforces internal stability and independence from external pressures. Eventually, emotional equilibrium becomes natural. The individual navigates challenges with composure, makes deliberate decisions, and prevents manipulation from undermining personal authority. Mastering mental compartmentalization allows focus on priorities without interference from distractions or irrelevant concerns. Scattered attention increases susceptibility to manipulation. Compartmentalization involves isolating thoughts, tasks, and responsibilities to deal with each individually. This structured approach enhances clarity, efficiency, and control. Consistent practice reinforces focus and organization. Each successful compartmentalization of challenges strengthens confidence in managing multiple aspects of life independently. Over time, compartmentalization becomes intuitive. The individual prioritizes effectively, remains composed under pressure, and maintains authority in both personal and professional interactions. Building resilience through controlled exposure to social pressure develops confidence. Gradual engagement in situations that test independence strengthens the ability to resist influence. Controlled exposure allows individuals to experiment with assertiveness, decision-making, and boundary setting in a safe yet challenging environment. Each experience reinforces judgment and autonomy. Repeated practice strengthens awareness of manipulation tactics. The more scenarios experienced, the more the individual can anticipate and respond strategically rather than reactively. Eventually, social resilience becomes instinctive. Confidence is maintained under pressure. Decisions remain deliberate. And external influence loses its power to disrupt autonomy. Practicing mindful prioritization reduces overwhelm and enhances control over decisions. Without clarity on what truly matters, individuals often yield to external pressures unconsciously. Mindful prioritization involves evaluating tasks, requests, and obligations against personal goals and values. It ensures energy and focus are applied to what matters most. Regular practice strengthens mental clarity and self-trust. Each intentional prioritization reinforces confidence in maintaining autonomy and aligning actions with internal authority. Over time, prioritization becomes natural. The individual acts strategically, handles responsibilities efficiently, and diminishes susceptibility to manipulation or distraction. Developing assertive verbal communication strengthens influence without aggression. Clearly expressing intentions, boundaries, and priorities minimizes misunderstandings and reinforces authority. Assertive communication balances firmness with respect. It conveys confidence while maintaining constructive relationships and preventing others from dominating decision-making. Consistent practice enhances clarity, credibility, and self-trust. Each interaction provides feedback that reinforces assertiveness and reduces vulnerability to manipulation. Eventually, assertive communication becomes instinctive. The individual conveys authority naturally, maintains autonomy, and ensures interactions remain balanced and intentional. Strengthening focus through visualization of goals increases internal control. Mental rehearsal of outcomes and responses prepares the mind for intentional action rather than reactive behavior. Visualization involves imagining scenarios, anticipating obstacles, and mentally practicing effective strategies. This process primes the mind for clarity, confidence, and deliberate choices. Regular practice reinforces resilience and foresight. Each visualization session strengthens internal authority, self-trust, and the ability to navigate complex situations independently. Over time, visualization becomes second nature. Individuals respond strategically, maintain composure under pressure, and consistently align actions with personal priorities. Practicing selective engagement preserves energy and strengthens autonomy. Responding to every situation or opinion dilutes focus and increases susceptibility to manipulation. Selective engagement involves choosing carefully where attention, effort, and emotional investment are applied. This ensures resources are reserved for matters aligned with personal goals. Consistent practice reinforces judgment and self-trust. Each intentional engagement strengthens independence, decision-making, and internal authority. Eventually, selective engagement becomes habitual. The individual navigates social and professional environments strategically, conserving energy while maintaining control and influence. Building mental agility enhances problem solving and adaptability. Individuals with flexible thinking navigate challenges without yielding to external control. Mental agility involves evaluating multiple solutions, considering consequences and adjusting strategies dynamically. This reduces impulsive reactions and strengthens decision-making. Practicing this skill regularly develops confidence and resilience. Each successfully navigated challenge reinforces internal authority and autonomy. Over time, mental agility becomes intuitive. The individual adapts to change effortlessly, maintains composure, and ensures external pressures have minimal impact on decisions. Practicing reflection on past decisions improves self-awareness and foresight. Evaluating successes and mistakes identifies patterns that strengthen autonomy. Reflection involves analyzing the reasoning behind actions, identifying triggers, and planning better responses for future situations. This reinforces clarity and intentionality. Consistent reflection enhances learning and reduces repeated errors. Each session reinforces internal authority and the ability to act independently. Eventually, reflective practice becomes natural. Individuals anticipate outcomes, respond deliberately, and preserve control over both decisions and interactions. Strengthening personal accountability ensures independence from external validation. Relying on internal metrics for success reduces susceptibility to manipulation. Accountability involves tracking commitments, evaluating results objectively, and learning from outcomes without external influence. It builds confidence and reinforces autonomy. Practicing personal accountability consistently enhances decision-making skills. Each reflection on responsibility strengthens mental clarity and internal authority. Over time, accountability becomes habitual. The individual maintains integrity, acts deliberately, and resists external attempts to sway actions or priorities. Cultivating strategic optimism improves resilience and mental control. Focusing on potential solutions rather than problems reduces anxiety and reactive behavior. Optimism should be balanced and realistic. By anticipating challenges while maintaining a positive perspective, individuals preserve energy and reinforce self-direction. Consistent practice of strategic optimism strengthens confidence in handling adversity. Each successful application reinforces internal authority and independence from external influence. Eventually, strategic optimism becomes natural. The individual approaches challenges with clarity, maintains composure, and preserves autonomy consistently. Practicing layered decision-making enhances control over outcomes. Considering multiple factors, possible consequences, and alternative strategies ensures choices are deliberate and intentional. Layered thinking reduces impulsive reactions and increases the ability to anticipate external pressures. It transforms decisions into structured, well-evaluated actions. Consistent practice strengthens judgment, foresight, and resilience. Each analyzed decision reinforces confidence, mental clarity, and internal authority. Over time, layered decision-making becomes instinctive. The individual navigates complex scenarios with precision, maintains autonomy, and reduces susceptibility to manipulation in every aspect of life. Developing self-reliance in problem-solving reinforces independence. Depending on others for solutions often diminishes confidence and leaves room for manipulation. By analyzing problems critically and generating multiple solutions, individuals strengthen internal authority. This approach ensures actions are guided by reason rather than external influence. Regular practice of self-reliant problem-solving enhances resilience. Each successfully resolved issue reinforces confidence and reduces reliance on outside guidance. Over time, self-reliance becomes instinctive. The mind navigates challenges confidently, maintains control over outcomes, and preserves autonomy in all areas of life. Practicing controlled detachment in negotiations or discussions prevents impulsive concessions. Reacting emotionally or hastily often shifts power to others. Detachment allows the mind to evaluate facts, intentions, and possible outcomes objectively. This clarity ensures decisions are deliberate and aligned with personal priorities. Consistent practice reinforces patience, strategic thinking, and internal authority. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to assert boundaries without conflict. Eventually, detachment becomes habitual. Individuals respond with composure, maintain autonomy, and reduce the ability of others to manipulate outcomes. Strengthening confidence through incremental skill building enhances control. Mastery in any area boosts credibility and reduces dependency on external approval. Incremental skill development involves consistent practice, learning from mistakes, and gradual mastery. Each accomplishment reinforces self-trust and autonomy. Regular application builds mental resilience and authority. Success in smaller areas translates into confidence in larger, more complex situations. Over time, this confidence becomes instinctive. Individuals approach challenges with certainty, make deliberate choices, and preserve independence regardless of external influence. Practicing adaptive thinking ensures stability during uncertainty. Rigid expectations make individuals vulnerable to external pressures and unexpected challenges. Adaptive thinking involves evaluating new information, reconsidering strategies, and adjusting actions without compromising values. This flexibility strengthens mental control. Consistent practice enhances problem-solving, resilience, and self-trust. Each adaptive response reinforces internal authority and reduces reliance on others for guidance. Eventually, adaptive thinking becomes automatic. Individuals navigate uncertainty strategically, maintain composure, and retain control over outcomes and decisions. Building resilience through proactive preparation minimizes the impact of external pressures. Anticipating challenges and planning responses strengthens independence. Proactive preparation includes organizing resources, evaluating risks, and mentally rehearsing strategies. This readiness fosters confidence and ensures deliberate actions. Regular application reinforces foresight, decision-making, and internal authority. Each successfully navigated challenge strengthens autonomy and self-trust. Over time, proactive preparation becomes habitual. The individual approaches situations strategically, maintains composure, and minimizes susceptibility to manipulation. Cultivating strategic optimism enhances mental clarity and resilience. Focusing on actionable solutions rather than obstacles reduces reactive behavior. Strategic optimism requires balancing realistic evaluation with a positive focus on outcomes. This approach preserves energy and reinforces independence. Consistent practice strengthens confidence, problem-solving, and internal authority. Each successful application reinforces the ability to navigate challenges autonomously. Eventually, strategic optimism becomes second nature. Individuals maintain composure, make deliberate choices, and prevent external influence from undermining decisions. Practicing conscious energy management preserves focus and autonomy. Allowing energy to be depleted by distractions or unnecessary obligations reduces decision-making power. Conscious management involves identifying high-priority tasks, setting limits, and allocating energy effectively. This approach ensures sustained performance and controlled responses. Regular practice strengthens self-discipline and mental clarity. Each intentional use of energy reinforces autonomy and resilience against external pressure. Over time, energy management becomes instinctive. Individuals maintain focus, act deliberately, and preserve internal authority across all situations. Developing resilience through controlled exposure to criticism strengthens independence. Facing feedback without defensiveness builds mental fortitude and self-trust. Controlled exposure involves listening actively, assessing the value of feedback, and responding strategically. This prevents impulsive reactions and protects internal authority. Consistent practice enhances self-confidence and judgment. Each interaction with criticism becomes a tool for growth, rather than a source of external influence. Over time, the ability to handle criticism becomes natural. Individuals respond thoughtfully, maintain composure, and preserve autonomy in interactions. Strengthening focus through environment optimization increases mental clarity and control. Cluttered or chaotic surroundings often undermine concentration and decision-making. Optimizing the environment involves minimizing distractions, organizing space, and creating routines that support focus. This clarity reduces the risk of yielding to external pressures. Regular practice reinforces self-discipline, strategic thinking, and internal authority. Each optimized session strengthens autonomy and performance. Over time, environmental awareness becomes habitual. Individuals maintain focus, act deliberately, and ensure external factors have minimal influence on outcomes. Practicing proactive communication strengthens influence while maintaining autonomy. Clear, concise, and intentional messages prevent misunderstandings and assert boundaries. Proactive communication involves anticipating questions, addressing concerns, and framing responses strategically. This approach reinforces authority and reduces the ability of others to manipulate. Consistent practice builds confidence and clarity. Each successful exchange reinforces internal authority and self-trust. Over time, proactive communication becomes natural. Individuals convey intentions effectively, maintain control in conversations, and minimize external interference in decisions. Building resilience through realistic goal setting enhances focus and mental strength. Overambitious or unclear goals increase stress and dependency on others' guidance. Realistic goal setting involves defining measurable objectives, evaluating resources, and creating actionable steps. This clarity strengthens autonomy and decision-making. Regular practice reinforces confidence and strategic thinking. Each achieved goal enhances internal authority and reduces vulnerability to influence. Eventually, goal-oriented focus becomes instinctive. Individuals act deliberately, navigate challenges efficiently, and maintain control over personal outcomes. Practicing deliberate response under social pressure strengthens independence. Immediate reactions often cede control to others. Deliberate response requires pausing, evaluating motives, and considering outcomes before taking action. This ensures decisions are guided by reasoning rather than emotion. Regular practice reinforces resilience, strategic thinking, and internal authority. Each measured response strengthens confidence and autonomy. Over time, the ability to respond deliberately becomes automatic. Individuals navigate pressure confidently, maintain composure, and preserve control over interactions. Developing a habit of continuous learning strengthens adaptability and mental agility. Knowledge empowers decision-making and reduces reliance on external validation. Continuous learning involves exploring new perspectives, analyzing information critically, and applying insights practically. This builds competence and self-trust. Consistent practice reinforces confidence, foresight, and autonomy. Each new skill or insight strengthens internal authority and decision-making power. Over time, continuous learning becomes habitual. The individual approaches challenges with intelligence, navigates change effectively, and maintains independence. Strengthening mental resilience through controlled exposure to uncertainty prepares individuals for complex challenges. Fear of the unknown often reduces autonomy. Controlled exposure involves gradually engaging with unfamiliar situations, evaluating responses, and reflecting on lessons learned. This builds confidence and strategic thinking. Regular practice reinforces adaptability, problem solving, and internal authority. Each experience under uncertainty strengthens self-trust and resilience. Eventually, resilience under uncertainty becomes instinctive. Individuals navigate unpredictable situations confidently, make deliberate choices, and preserve independence. Integrating all previous practices into a holistic approach maximizes inner strength and autonomy. Strategic observation, reflection, emotional regulation, and deliberate action together create a resilient mindset. This holistic integration ensures decisions are guided by reason, priorities, and self-trust, rather than external influence. It combines focus, patience, adaptability, and strategic thinking in everyday actions. Consistent practice across multiple dimensions reinforces internal authority. Each interaction, challenge, and decision strengthens confidence and preserves autonomy. Over time, the holistic approach becomes natural. The individual operates with deliberate intent, navigates life strategically, and remains resilient against manipulation or external control in every aspect of life. Practicing self-assessment strengthens awareness of personal strengths and weaknesses. Understanding where competence exists and where growth is needed prevents dependency on others. Self-assessment involves regular evaluation of actions, decisions, and outcomes. By reflecting on successes and failures, individuals build insight and refine strategies. Consistent practice reinforces internal authority and resilience. Each insight from self-assessment becomes a tool for better decision-making and independence. Over time, self-assessment becomes habitual. Individuals navigate challenges confidently, maintain autonomy, and approach decisions with clarity and foresight. Harnessing the power of intentional silence can protect mental energy. Speaking impulsively often reveals vulnerabilities or opens the door to influence. Intentional silence involves pausing before responding and considering the full impact of words. This creates space for strategic action rather than reaction. Regular practice strengthens emotional control and internal authority. Each measured response reinforces self-trust and reduces external manipulation. Over time, silence becomes a strategic tool. Individuals communicate deliberately, preserve autonomy, and maintain authority in interactions. Cultivating foresight through pattern recognition strengthens decision-making. Observing recurring behaviors, trends, and outcomes allows prediction of potential challenges. Pattern recognition involves careful analysis of situations and responses over time. Understanding these patterns equips the mind to anticipate and act proactively. Consistent practice enhances judgment, resilience, and autonomy. Each insight gained from observing patterns strengthens internal authority. Eventually, pattern recognition becomes instinctive. Individuals foresee challenges, respond strategically, and maintain control over outcomes. Practicing deliberate delegation ensures focus on priorities while maintaining authority. Attempting to manage everything personally often dilutes energy and creates vulnerability. Deliberate delegation involves assigning tasks based on strengths, resources, and goals. This preserves energy for critical decisions and actions. Regular practice reinforces efficiency, confidence, and autonomy. Each successfully delegated task enhances trust in judgment and internal authority. Over time, delegation becomes strategic. Individuals maintain focus, execute priorities effectively, and reduce susceptibility to external influence. Building resilience through constructive feedback strengthens growth without compromising independence. Accepting feedback strategically enhances capability and confidence. Constructive feedback should be evaluated objectively, separating useful insights from irrelevant opinions. This ensures responses align with personal goals. Consistent practice enhances mental clarity and internal authority. Each interaction with feedback reinforces self-trust and decision-making strength. Eventually, receiving feedback becomes empowering. Individuals integrate insights intelligently, maintain composure, and preserve autonomy in all interactions. Practicing decisive action prevents hesitation from undermining control. Prolonged indecision often invites external influence and reduces self-confidence. Decisive action involves evaluating available information, weighing risks, and committing to a well-considered choice. This reinforces internal authority. Regular practice strengthens confidence and resilience. Each successful decision reinforces the ability to act independently without reliance on others. Over time, decisive action becomes intuitive. Individuals navigate challenges confidently, maintain autonomy, and minimize external pressure on their choices. Harnessing mental discipline through structured daily routines strengthens focus and consistency. Chaos in daily life often weakens autonomy and opens the door to manipulation. Structured routines involve planning tasks, prioritizing responsibilities, and allocating time strategically. This organization enhances control over energy and attention. Regular practice reinforces internal authority and resilience. Each routine followed consistently strengthens focus, confidence, and independence. Over time, structured routines become habitual. Individuals operate efficiently, make deliberate choices, and reduce vulnerability to external influence. Practicing strategic foresight prepares individuals for potential challenges before they arise. Anticipating obstacles reduces stress and reactive behavior. Foresight involves scenario planning, risk assessment, and evaluating possible outcomes. This preparation strengthens internal authority and decision-making. Consistent practice enhances confidence, adaptability, and autonomy. Each successfully anticipated challenge reinforces resilience and control. Eventually, strategic foresight becomes second nature. Individuals navigate uncertainty confidently, maintain composure, and preserve authority in complex situations. Developing mental clarity through information filtering reduces overload and strengthens decision-making. Excess information can cloud judgment and weaken independence. Filtering information involves identifying what is relevant, trustworthy, and actionable, while ignoring distractions or misleading input. This preserves focus and energy. Regular practice enhances critical thinking and internal authority. Each filtered insight improves understanding, autonomy, and confidence in decisions. Over time, information filtering becomes instinctive. Individuals process data efficiently, act decisively, and resist external manipulation. Strengthening resilience through controlled exposure to pressure builds confidence. Facing difficult situations gradually enhances mental fortitude. Controlled exposure involves intentionally navigating high-pressure scenarios while monitoring responses and learning from outcomes. This builds self-trust. Consistent practice enhances emotional stability, judgment, and internal authority. Each challenge overcome reinforces independence and decision-making strength. Eventually, pressure management becomes automatic. Individuals remain composed under stress, make deliberate choices, and preserve autonomy. Building focus through mindfulness of attention strengthens mental control. Scattered focus often leads to impulsive actions and susceptibility to influence. Mindfulness involves observing thoughts, emotions, and distractions without judgment. This allows concentration on priorities while reducing reactivity. Regular practice enhances self-awareness, clarity, and internal authority. Each mindful session strengthens resilience and decision-making ability. Over time, focused mindfulness becomes habitual. Individuals maintain concentration, act intentionally, and reduce external manipulation in daily life. Practicing goal alignment reinforces autonomy and purpose. Actions disconnected from personal priorities can weaken authority and increase dependence on others' expectations. Goal alignment involves evaluating tasks, commitments, and choices against long-term objectives. This ensures energy and effort are applied strategically. Consistent practice strengthens self-trust, efficiency, and independence. Each aligned action reinforces clarity, authority, and focus. Over time, goal alignment becomes instinctive. Individuals act with intention, maintain autonomy, and protect decision-making from external pressures. Strengthening internal dialogue enhances self-confidence and autonomy. Negative self-talk can erode authority and invite external control. Practicing positive and realistic internal dialogue fosters resilience, clarity, and mental strength. Each affirmation of capability reinforces independence and focus. Regular practice builds confidence, self-trust, and strategic thinking. The mind becomes a source of guidance rather than doubt. Eventually, empowered internal dialogue becomes habitual, Individuals approach challenges confidently, act deliberately, and preserve authority in all decisions. Cultivating adaptability in strategy strengthens resilience against unforeseen challenges. Rigid approaches increase vulnerability to external pressure and failure. Adaptive strategy involves evaluating outcomes, learning from experiences, and adjusting methods dynamically. This reinforces autonomy and decision-making confidence. Consistent practice enhances problem-solving, foresight, and internal authority. Each adaptive response strengthens resilience and independence. Over time, strategic adaptability becomes natural. Individuals navigate uncertainty confidently, maintain composure, and make deliberate choices regardless of external influence. Building patience under adversity strengthens long-term autonomy. Impatience often leads to impulsive actions that compromise control and decision-making. Practicing patience involves reframing challenges, evaluating consequences, and responding thoughtfully. This reinforces internal authority and clarity. Regular application enhances emotional regulation, resilience, and strategic thinking. Each patient response reinforces self-trust and independence. Over time, patience becomes instinctive. Individuals act deliberately, maintain composure, and reduce susceptibility to external pressures. Practicing strategic boundary setting reinforces control over personal space, time, and energy. Weak boundaries often invite manipulation or dependency. Strategic boundaries involve clearly communicating limits, enforcing them consistently, and evaluating situations where compromise is necessary. Regular practice strengthens self-trust, focus, and autonomy. Each successfully enforced boundary reinforces internal authority and confidence. Eventually, boundary setting becomes natural. Individuals protect priorities, maintain energy, and resist external influence in personal and professional interactions. Developing resilience through controlled reflection enhances learning from experience. Hasty conclusions often reduce understanding and empower external influence. Controlled reflection involves reviewing actions, evaluating outcomes, and identifying lessons learned. This strengthens judgment and foresight. Consistent practice reinforces autonomy and strategic thinking. Each reflective session improves confidence and internal authority. Over time, reflection becomes habitual. Individuals respond intelligently to challenges, maintain composure, and act decisively in all situations. Harnessing emotional regulation in negotiations strengthens influence while maintaining autonomy. Reactive emotions often cede power to others. Emotional regulation involves awareness, measured responses, and strategic expression. This ensures communication remains controlled and deliberate. Consistent practice enhances resilience, credibility, and internal authority. Each interaction builds confidence and independence. Over time, emotional regulation becomes instinctive. Individuals negotiate strategically, maintain composure, and preserve autonomy in decision-making. Practicing long-term perspective strengthens clarity and reduces impulsive behavior. Short-term focus often yields decisions influenced by external pressures. Long-term perspective involves evaluating choices against overarching goals and potential future outcomes. This ensures alignment with priorities and values. Regular practice reinforces internal authority and foresight. Each strategically considered choice strengthens independence and confidence. Over time, long-term thinking becomes natural. Individuals make deliberate, consistent decisions, preserving autonomy and control over outcomes. Building mental endurance through repetitive challenges strengthens focus and resilience. Avoiding difficult situations reduces self-trust and increases dependence on others. Repetitive challenges involve gradually increasing difficulty in tasks, decisions, or interactions. Success reinforces confidence and self-reliance. Consistent practice strengthens internal authority and mental fortitude. Each conquered challenge reinforces autonomy and control. Over time, endurance becomes habitual. Individuals navigate difficulties with composure, maintain focus, and act independently. Developing clarity in personal values strengthens alignment in decisions. Confused priorities invite external control or influence. Clarifying values involves identifying what is non-negotiable, evaluating personal goals, and aligning actions accordingly. Regular practice reinforces autonomy, self-trust, and deliberate action. Each choice consistent with values strengthens internal authority. Over time, values-driven decision-making becomes instinctive. Individuals act intentionally, maintain integrity, and resist external pressures effectively. Practicing structured problem solving increases efficiency and reduces dependency on others. Reactive approaches often undermine autonomy. Structured problem solving involves defining the problem, analyzing options, evaluating consequences, and implementing solutions strategically. Regular practice strengthens critical thinking, resilience, and internal authority. Each solved problem builds confidence and independence. Over time, structured problem solving becomes habitual. Individuals navigate challenges efficiently, act deliberately, and preserve autonomy consistently. Strengthening resilience through consistent goal tracking reinforces self-motivation and focus. Neglecting progress evaluation reduces accountability and independence. Goal tracking involves measuring progress, adjusting strategies, and celebrating milestones. This practice enhances motivation and reinforces internal authority. Regular application strengthens confidence, persistence, and strategic thinking. Each milestone achieved reinforces autonomy and self-trust. Over time, goal tracking becomes natural. Individuals maintain clarity, act intentionally, and ensure alignment with priorities despite external pressures. Cultivating strategic patience strengthens foresight and decision-making. Impulsive actions often undermine autonomy and reduce control over outcomes. Strategic patience involves assessing situations, anticipating potential consequences, and choosing deliberate timing for action. Consistent practice enhances clarity, resilience, and internal authority. Each patient decision reinforces self-trust and independence. Over time, patience becomes instinctive. Individuals act deliberately, maintain focus, and reduce susceptibility to external influence. Developing proactive resilience through planning for uncertainty strengthens confidence. Unpreparedness often yields reactive behavior and dependence on others. Proactive planning involves anticipating challenges, creating contingencies, and mentally rehearsing responses. This preparation reinforces autonomy and strategic thinking. Regular practice strengthens foresight, adaptability, and internal authority. Each planned scenario reinforces resilience and independence. Over time, proactive planning becomes habitual. Individuals navigate uncertainty confidently, maintain composure, and act decisively. Building mental clarity through consistent reflection reduces impulsivity and strengthens autonomy. Overlooked experiences often lead to repeated mistakes. Reflection involves analyzing actions, outcomes, and lessons learned to refine strategies and decision-making processes. Regular practice enhances critical thinking, confidence, and internal authority. Each reflection reinforces self-trust and independence. Over time, reflective practice becomes second nature. Individuals act strategically, anticipate challenges, and maintain control over their decisions. Practicing focused action strengthens momentum and internal authority. Divided attention often reduces efficiency and invites external influence. Focused action involves concentrating fully on one priority, completing it with intention, and minimizing distractions. Regular practice reinforces discipline, confidence, and autonomy. Each completed action strengthens decision-making and independence. Over time, focused action becomes instinctive. Individuals maintain clarity, act efficiently, and reduce susceptibility to manipulation. Developing strategic foresight in relationships preserves autonomy. Misreading intentions or over-relying on others can erode control. Strategic foresight involves observing behavior, evaluating motives, and anticipating potential challenges or conflicts. Consistent practice strengthens judgment, resilience, and internal authority. Each assessed interaction enhances independence and confidence. Over time, relational foresight becomes natural. Individuals navigate connections strategically, maintain boundaries, and preserve autonomy consistently. Strengthening adaptability in communication prevents misinterpretation and external control. Rigidity often allows others to dominate interactions. Adaptive communication involves adjusting tone, phrasing, and approach according to context while maintaining core intentions. Regular practice reinforces influence, credibility, and autonomy. Each interaction strengthens confidence and internal authority. Over time, adaptive communication becomes habitual. Individuals respond strategically, maintain composure, and preserve control over conversations. Practicing holistic self-management integrates focus, resilience, emotional control, and strategic thinking. Fragmented habits often compromise independence. Holistic self-management involves aligning routines, priorities, and mental practices to create consistent performance and decision-making. Consistent practice reinforces mental clarity, confidence, and internal authority. Each integrated action enhances autonomy and resilience. Over time, holistic self-management becomes instinctive. Individuals act deliberately, navigate challenges effectively, and maintain full control over personal and professional life. Now that you have, say, 4 words to strengthen inner authority, it is clear true power begins within. Your ability to control reactions, maintain focus, and make deliberate decisions determines the trajectory of your life. Every habit you cultivate, every boundary you enforce, and every challenge you face shapes a resilient, independent mindset. Others may attempt to influence, pressure, or distract, but your inner strength forms a shield that cannot be broken. This journey is not about perfection, it's about progress. Each step, each practice, each conscious decision reinforces self-trust, resilience, and autonomy. The more consistently you act intentionally, the less control others will have over your life. Remember, strength is built quietly, resilience grows steadily, and autonomy is maintained deliberately. Commit to this process. Embrace your power and watch as your inner authority transforms your reality, allowing you to live confidently, freely, and fully in control of your own destiny.